You guys know the drill. Before we get into the video, make sure you go and check out the description. If you're not yet signed up for GBFC Selects, I'd love to ask you to do so. There's £1,000 to be won for tomorrow night's game against Leicester, and we've also got a prize draw running right now where it's £5 to enter. You can win a load of prizes. Link down below, 18 plus, terms and conditions apply. Let's get in to the video, and I'm actually going to keep this one rolling with no cuts. Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. Slightly less strain on the throat. Benson is almost, not quite, but he's almost back to his very best. However, there is something that quite isn't at its best, or isn't quite at its best, should I say, and that's Chelsea. We were absolutely humbled by a wonder goal in the FA Cup final, and then, in as damp squib-like of a damp squib as you can get, we kind of just fizzled out of the game, and it took Ben Chilwell, a left-back, coming off the bench to actually make us look like a potent force going forward. I want to talk about that today. I want to talk about how I think Chelsea can overcome the last two results that have kind of sent all of us into an emotional turmoil, into a chaos in the past couple of days since that Leicester game, where we're all looking at it now, and I'll be very honest with you, it's not just the opinion across social media that I'm discussing here. My personal feeling is that I'm heavily worried now about the Champions League final. When we played Bayern Munich, I was heavily worried about that too, but I think the whole story of how Chelsea got to where they were kind of overcome everything, and even though we expected nothing, as everything drew closer, it just seemed like it was destiny. Whereas with this one, we are now talking about a very different Chelsea side. We're talking about a different spine, a totally different mentality, which is a word that Thomas Tuchel has used a lot in interviews since the Arsenal game, the Leicester game in particular. He talks about the mentality not being right and having to shift this mentality. And I want to focus on what that word really means today. And in a Chelsea sense, I think the general consensus amongst all fans is that the serious struggle with this squad is that we do not have that leadership, winning mentality that we had over the years when Chelsea Football Club became a big European powerhouse, when we won the Champions League, when we started winning Premier League trophies on a more consistent basis, FA Cups, League Cups involved with that too. The Chelsea mentality was that of a bunch of winners, of a bunch of experienced players who led the line from the team and who were playing with one another for a sustained period of time. And when people make the comparisons between Petr Cech, John Terry, Frank Lampard, Zola the Cat is trying to get involved behind the tripod, Didier Drogba, that was the Chelsea spine. Cech, Terry, Lampard, Drogba, with the additional supplements, I guess you could say, but they were far more than supplements. They were a whole meal in themselves, the likes of Ashley Cole, Makelele. Players like this alongside these core spine players within the Chelsea team. You look at that, and every single one of those players is not only a leader in his position in terms of world football, some of the best in the world at what they do, but they are leaders with personality. And when you have a spine of a team that have this leadership personality trait, you begin to craft the mentality of the club with whoever it is playing around you. You know, there were players in that 2012 Champions League winning squad, and I won't mention names because they're all holy in my world at least anyway, but there were players in that team that were average footballers. But when you're playing around and the team is built around that central figure of Cech, Terry, Lampard, Drogba, that's how you win trophies. That is how, when it comes to those matches in finals where it's do or die. Chelsea died at the weekend. We didn't win the FA Cup. Leicester lift the trophy and we're there with another loss in the final. Those are the games you win when you have that kind of grown mentality within the side. Now in this Chelsea team, I think the problem at the moment is that the word talent can be used in abundance to describe players all over the field. You even look at Mendy, for example. I'd say that Edouard Mendy is a very talented goalkeeper. I believe he has leadership traits, but I don't think he is that guy at the back that the entire team trust. As of yet, I think he could be, you never know. But even though he's kept so many clean sheets this season, when it comes to these big games, even though it was Kepa obviously at the weekend, and it kind of feels a bit harsh me saying that about Mendy, but I'm talking about Chelsea building a spine for the future so that what we've seen in recent finals since those big players that we mentioned earlier have no longer been at the club is Chelsea haven't pulled through the way we used to. So when we look at what this Chelsea team needs, not just to overcome Manchester City in the final in Porto, but to be able to actually compete and win these trophies in the future, we need to have a trusted spine of the team. And this is where I want to segue into why I think we lost that cup final at the weekend and why Thomas Tuchel is actually to blame, in my opinion, for this. We've ranted and raved and waxed lyrical, to use football therapy's term again. I always have to quote Jan for that one because I didn't even ever have that in my vocabulary list until I watched Jan's video, so shout out to Jan. But Thomas Tuchel, what he's done at Chelsea in the bigger picture of things so far has been phenomenal. We were mid-table in the Premier League. We didn't think we had a chance in any of the other competitions because we were conceding too many goals, not playing well enough. He's come in and changed all of that, and he's put us into these positions where we've got these one-off matches to win big trophies. The issue, and the reason why I think we didn't lift that cup against Leicester, wasn't VAR, which was my initial response because I was a bit salty after the game, as most of us were. The reason is because he's chopping and changing things far too much. And I understand it in an essence because we've got so many good players, talent is the word I would use, talented players in the squad, and having the club spent all of this money on so many of them, there is an impetus for Tuchel to use these players, to chop it and change it. And I don't necessarily think that the decisions he made to chop and change things again for the FA Cup final was one that was actually based off of a tactical reason why we should go out there with these players and beat Leicester City. I feel as though it was, again, too much principle of, okay, not that Kepa did much wrong in the game, but Kepa is definitely not that keeper that instills a confidence into the rest of the team to create this mentality to be able to go forward and win games. You see what I'm trying to get out here with this? So the fact that Kepa is in goal, there's, Azpilicueta, Silva, Rudiger at the back. I think that was pretty self-explanatory. Reece James, right wing-back. But then Alonso coming in at left wing-back. If it goes well, then it's a masterstroke. It's a stroke of genius. But when Chilwell's been playing so well, it's his former club. There is that added energy that's from him that he wants to do business. When Chilwell came on, he was our best player. Ben Chilwell looked the more likely, and he did score a goal than any of the other attacking players on the pitch. That is crazy. So the fact that Alonso starts this game, we can sit here on reflection now, because Alonso didn't do anything in the game worth of note, apart from a header that Kasper Schmeichel saved with ease. These kind of changes are problems. And I also think, when I look back on that game at the weekend, I think Jorginho was poor again. It was another one of those games where we're like, blimey, like we need Kovacic back in the team. So what I think we need to do is, it might seem like a bit of a risk to some of you guys, and I really want to know what you guys think about this in the comments down below. But what I think we need to do between now and the end of the season, with two massive Premier League games to come, we can't chop and change now to rest players because we've got an eye on the Champions League final. We're not in the momentum and the form anymore to be able to actually make these kind of decisions. The match against Leicester tomorrow is the biggest Premier League game we've had all season long. We have to win this game tomorrow. We absolutely must win. We cannot go into that game against Aston Villa needing 3 points in order to secure Champions League football. We can't do it because at this moment in time, the top 4 next season, as much as I always say I want to see Chelsea lift trophies, I was fuming that we didn't lift that FA Cup at the weekend. And of course, I dream to see us lift that Champions League trophy. But if we don't win the Champions League and we somehow finish 5th this season, it's a travesty, it's a tragedy, it is a disaster, to use all 3 of those words in one go. So for that reason, he picks the strongest team we possibly can tomorrow. He picks a bunch of winners who won't let the last 2 games destroy the mentality that was being built in the lead up to these 2 defeats. And what we saw against Leicester, I think, was nerves. It was youth in the wrong sense of youth, in terms of these players haven't won trophies before at this level. So therefore we didn't know how to really push it beyond and get at Leicester in a way that we did against Bayern Munich, against all the odds, where we're 1-0 down in their stadium. You call on Didier Drogba to score you a phenomenal header to get you back in contention to win the match. So at this moment in time, I'm still thinking about what my starting 11 would be for the game against Leicester City tomorrow. But in order to wrap up this video, the biggest note that I wanted to take is that even though it's been a pretty tough week losing to Arsenal, beaten in the cup final by Leicester, I still believe there is enough talent in this Chelsea squad. But irrespective of what happens between now and the end of the season, the last week has told me that whatever recruitment Chelsea decide to do this summer it needs to be heavily focused on bringing in players who are natural winners, more experienced, because there's a lot of youth still in this team, and that is the way we need to be going forward. I've been talking about Erling Haaland non-stop. I'm almost taking a back seat on that one now as well, because I think maybe someone like, here's just a name I want to throw out there to see what you guys say. Someone like Verratti at PSG. Imagine a midfield of Kante and Verratti, or Verratti and Kovacic, or Kovacic and well, I just said the other options. The other two that we could do here, Kante and Kovacic still. So that's just a thought. That's the kind of player I'd like to see Chelsea go for now, and I think that mentality is the issue right now. We're not winners yet. We haven't won anything, so therefore when it comes down to the meat and potatoes of winning finals, we haven't got the minerals right now. And I hope that changes in 2 weeks' time against Manchester City, but that is the conclusive afterthought that I've had since that Leicester City final. I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I hope you're glad to see me back making a video that isn't just a preview or a review of the match in 6 things we learned. So, as I said at the beginning, if you're not yet signed up for GBFC Selects, please go and do so. The link is down below. And yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow for the Leicester preview. And I know I always say it, but it really is the biggest Premier League game of our season. It's absolutely massive. It's a must-win at Stamford Bridge. Believe we can, but I'm less confident now than I was a week ago. But anyway, thank you guys. Let me know what you think of anything I've said in the comments down below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you are new. See you all tomorrow. Come on, you Blues.